Great. So we are live. It's great to see some questions coming in already. A few people have sent some questions in early. Thank you, Jen Rose. I don't know if you're on yet, Jen Rose, but we're going to get through your questions anyway. And Leonard Kelly sent some questions in. So this one I'm looking forward to. We've got Tamar here from Osome, and I'm going to give him a little bit of time to kind of introduce himself, what he does, and I've got some questions for him. He's an accountant, so I'm going to let him explain all of that stuff. But I've got some questions for him, but I kind of want to get through as many questions as possible from viewers, from people who hopefully jump on with us live. So we're going to kind of see how it goes today. So if you've got any burning questions, if you're doing your own books, your own accounting, maybe you don't have an accountant yet, and it's very confusing for you, then this is the time to get all of your questions answered. So yeah, Tamar, can you give us a little bit of a background into who you are first and foremost, and then your relationship with Osome, and a little bit about the Osome platform as well?
Lovely. Thank you, Sam, for inviting me today. My name is Taimur Ghafoor. I'm one of the senior accountants here at Osome UK. I personally have an accounting background. I've been in the world of finance and accounting for almost 7 years now. Studied accounting and still am studying accounting. Um, Osome is an online accounting platform which provides a paperless, automated bookkeeping and accounting solution for small businesses and also big businesses. But the main solution is there for especially e-commerce side of things. So when you see the platform, when you join, you will see a list of automation in place that helps you auto reconcile your sales and help you collect and gather a lot of invoices as well. So we have generated and made platforms where you can simply take a picture of your invoices and send it over and talk to your accountant through a very informal chat system, and utilize all of those technology and produce your bookkeeping and accounting. But moreover, my task is to see how we can add more value than just basic bookkeeping and accounting. So for example, once your books are complete, how do we help you understand your numbers? Because I think that's one of the main aims of completing your books on time, so you know the information, you can make those business decisions based on your finances. So as an all, Osome is a tool to help you enhance your business, not just do your compliances but also work towards making those business strategy decisions. And my job is to make sure all of that flows smoothly throughout the whole business.
Fantastic. So we've got a few questions. I want to get through the ones that are being answered live first, and then we'll get through some of the ones that people sent in early. So we have Deborah Rose, whose the first question is, how much does the software cost?
So there are different packages, and the good thing about it is monthly cost, or you can also pay annually if you wanted the discount. But if you are a completely new business, you just started, and you don't know which direction your business is going to go, you can come on to the most basic minimum package, which is £45 a month, and that takes care of your accounting software. So normally, if you go for an accounting software, that only costs you about 26 something, or more or less something like that. But with us, £45 a month, you get your compliances like your corporation tax and your account submitted, and plus you get a minimal consultations with your accountants as well, where they can help you on your regular business side of things. So start with 45, then it goes to £100, then £145, depending on wherever your business is, at which position. There are different package for them, and the division of the package helps us grow with you rather than just charge you a very specific fees. But please visit the website and you can see all the different pricing.
Awesome. So Deborah is asking, is just to clarify, is that 45 a month?
45 plus VAT a month, yes.
Awesome. So the next question she has is, how often do we meet each other? So I'm guessing that's like her and the accountant.
The accountant. So you get the chat system, which I mentioned is it's literally like a WhatsApp, where you can send pictures, you can speak to your accountant on regular basis, unlimited times. And the promise that we have made is that we'll get back to you within 24 hours of you asking us a question or sending anything to the chat. on the 45 package, obviously, there's some limitations to the consultation. So if you want some general advice, you can book a call and the accountant will come and assist you with it. But if you really want a regular um, accountant who will be there, on regular basis with you, with weekly, monthly catch-ups, then you have to have the a higher package. But an accountant will always be there for you on the chat, regardless of whichever package you are on.
Awesome. So I think that's a key point as well, because I know, like, for me as well, working with accountants in the past, sometimes like the lead time between me sending them an email and me getting a response can be like very long. So knowing that you have that there as like someone who you can just like a company you can just send a message to and know that you're getting a response from an accountant. Can you speak? I'm going to get through some of these questions, but I wanted to kind of, because I'm going to be putting out a video soon on the Osome platform, which is going to be really great. But your accountants well, yourself and the other accountants, you specialize specifically in e-commerce, right?
Yes, as I mentioned, the platform that we have generated and produced is focuses heavily on e-commerce, but the way it has been made is it can accommodate any type of industry. But for e-commerce, we have achieved the optimum automation basically. So for if you're an e-commerce business, then the flow of information is very smooth and easy for us to reconcile your books.
Awesome. So Deborah Rose is asking, is it the cash or actual method? I'm not sure what that means.
Yes. So normally the cash and accrual method is normally used on the way we do your books. So for example, if you start a new business, 90% of the businesses, actually all the businesses are on a accrual basis because that's what the accounting standards are. You can have situation where you're a VAT registered business and you want to do a cash based VAT, but again, that's a very specific type. But all the businesses has to do accrual based accounting. So when we do your bookkeeping and accounting, it will always be on accrual basis because that's what the standard is and that's what the policy is for to do bookkeeping.
Awesome. So Sam Spring is asking, I have started Shopify freelancing this year, creating Shopify websites additional to a full-time job. Uh, is best to create a limited company for my freelance work and the tax rates involved?
Well, look, it depends on the volume. So as a sole trader, currently, if you are not registered for anything, you're a sole trader. Right, with sole trader, there are quite a few different things. It's less hectic. You need to declare your tax and pay your tax once a year, and it overall it's slightly easier than a limited company. But if this side hustle of yours is becoming a thing and you are going to make a lot of money out of it, and it will become big, and then you should definitely consider a limited company because then you can get involved into payroll, dividends, and different type of tax treatment that is more efficient than sole trader. So it all depends at which stage of your business you're at. But for a longer term, limited company is always a better option in terms of taxes.
Awesome. In terms of like is there a difference in, you may have mentioned this already, but is there a difference in terms of pricing as well, or in terms of your packages if someone is registered as a company or someone is like just registered as a sole trader?
Yes, there will be a slight difference. But so, for example, if you are a sole trader who just takes out salary and some dividends from the limited company, then we have a very standard package, which is £75 for the whole year, and we will submit your self-assessment. But if you are trading as a self-employed, then obviously we need to do your bookkeeping, and for that the normal packages come kicks in. So if you're a very small business at the moment, then the £45 a month. If you're more, then based on the pricing, it will be the same.
Awesome. Awesome. So we had a question earlier in from Jen Rose. I'm not sure if she's live now, but hopefully she kind of can catch it after. And that one is, which accounting software do you use, Zero or some other one? Now I know you guys have some sort of partnership, right? With, is it Zero?
It is Zero, yes. So we are a zero platinum partners. So every bookkeeping and accounting is done on zero, and all of our APIs and the softwares involved is done on zero. So when you come on board to us, we will give you an access to zero, and you will have zero plus us, but you will mainly work on the Osome app, and we'll do all the work at the background on zero. So you don't need to worry about too many softwares. For you, Osome will be the main place. It will show you your bank reconciliations, your outstanding amounts, and a dashboard that will show you your sales, while we are working on the background on zero.
Awesome. Great. So in terms of like, because a lot of people who are subscribed to this channel and probably will be watching this video, we're e-commerce sellers, you know, we're selling online and so on and so forth. We have our finances all over the place sometimes, you know, PayPal and Stripe. And even one question that we had in as well from Jen Rose, you know, was about different platforms, payment platforms, PayPal and so on and so forth. So what tips would you give to someone who is selling online? They've got their finances coming in from different places. What tips would you give in terms of like just bookkeeping and keeping on top of everything, basically?
Sure. Look, the bookkeeping side is really important, right? There are few elements to it. The first is the compliance. You need to make sure your bookkeeping is in order, and you need to have all the data in the record for at least 6 years, because HMRC can knock your door and ask you for at least last 6 years worth of accounts and reports. So you need to have everything in order to make sure that when they knock your door, you have everything ready. So, for example, they ask you 2 years ago you spent £3,000 on something. Can we get some documents for that? You need a system to literally for you to just click few buttons and get that information, rather than going through all of your file of paperwork and spending hours on it. So bookkeeping is really important, compliance wise, as I said. Plus, bookkeeping is also helping you to understand your business finances on day-to-day basis. So, for example, with us, we reconcile transactions on regular and daily basis. That helps you to see what you're making on daily basis and how much your expenses are. It shows your gross profit margin, and if there's a fluctuation on it, you will immediately know that something along the line has gone wrong, and then you can identify and investigate it before it's too late. So bookkeeping helps you be compliant. It helps you make financial decision on time, and it also helps you see the trends that you're going through. So keeping all of this in mind, my tips would be to make sure, obviously, if you're doing it yourself and you don't have an accountant, find a software that you're comfortable with, because software can make a big difference. If you end up taking Sage for a small business that you have, Sage is a very robust and complicated software, and it's not easy. But whereas Zero, QuickBook, they're quite modern and they're quite new as well. So they have features like taking a pictures and sending it to your Zero, and the invoice gets uploaded to the system. They have system where bank reconciliation is quite straightforward and easy. You don't have to literally understand accounting itself. It helps you navigate through that. So find an accounting software that helps you do that. Have your paperwork in line, because missing invoices is not good. You will not be able to claim VAT on it, and you might also not be able to claim any relief on corporation tax. So just to deep dive on that, let's say you made a sale of £10,000. Now, whatever expenses you claim against it, let's say you say, to reach this £10,000, I spend almost £8,000. You will pay tax on the remaining £2,000, right? The 19% of that. But that £8,000, you need to have all the paperwork in place to show that you spend that £8,000 for business purposes. So make sure you have a system, like even if it's an online folder, that like a Google Drive or Dropbox, where you are putting all of your invoices, and then make folders so that you can reach out to your invoices immediately. If you're using a platform like Osome, then it's made more easier for you, where you can simply just dump the invoices, and then the accountant and the software allocates and makes it tidy for you for 6 years. So and the third tip would be understand your expenses. So, for example, if you are buying goods from China, getting them into the UK, there are two different types of shipment that you can apply for: DDP and I think DAP. And what they do is that one, yeah, where you pay all lump sum to your supplier, and they do all of the import VAT and taxes for you, and you get the items. It's good because it's easy, but the other way is you just get them to send the items to the UK borders, and you pay everything like the import VAT and customs. That's more financially better because you can claim that import VAT back if you're VAT registered. So knowing these few tweaks on e-commerce will help you obviously be efficient on your bookkeeping, plus be financially viable as well. So understand your segment and what you do so that you know exactly what you can claim back. So those are the few things, but again, it's a big realm. There's a lot of things to consider, but if you start with these, then you are in the right direction.
Fantastic. So we got a question from Jackie Raymond. Thank you, Jackie Raymond, for being on. Shout out to Worldwide Spotlight as well for being on. But before we get there, I remember the first time I ever sold online, and like what you said, I did import from China. And again, just as a note, anyone watching, if you do have questions related to tax or accounting or anything, please do drop them in the chat. We've got about half an hour roughly left on the chat, so please do get them in now. But I remember getting, I think it was a message from DHL about taxes that I had to pay on the goods that had arrived. So I'm happy that you mentioned that, because that's something that not a lot of people realize that has to be paid. So do you have any insight into like how that works in terms of like paying tax on goods that you import from different countries?
Yep. So from 1st of January 2021, things have changed a lot, especially for the import side of things. So depending on what type of e-commerce business you do, so if you're an Amazon private seller, what you're probably doing is getting your goods, ordering it in bulk, and getting them into the UK. When you get them into UK, as I mentioned, there are two different ways of paying for the shipment. Ask your supplier to make you the importer of goods, and you pay the import VAT and customs. So what happens is when your goods land into UK, they will get stuck in customs. You will get a notification to pay the 20% VAT on it. Pay that, and then use that to claim it against your VAT returns for your next quarter. There are new things introduced, which means that you don't have to pay it on a spot. You can defer it and use that amount in your next VAT return. So that there are few things in that element. Just make sure you're aware of all of that and you're achieving all of that. Otherwise, you will be losing a bit on your cash. But if you're a business like dropshipper, who just gets the goods when they receive an order, then the new rules, for example, if your total sale is less than £135 and you're selling it on Amazon or a marketplace, then you don't need to worry about anything. Amazon will take care of the rest. You just need to charge your end consumer VAT, which again Amazon will. But if you're not on Amazon and you're selling through your own website, then you need to be VAT registered from day one, regardless of £85,000. So there's a lot of new changes. Before it was quite simple and straightforward. Now with all these new rules, you have to be very understandable of what your business situation looks like, and then register or not register accordingly.
Okay, great, fantastic. So Jackie Raymond, what differences or changes do I need to be aware of when transitioning from full-time employed to full-time self-employed accounting wise?
Sure. Look, so as an individual, you are taxed between April to April. So from 6th of April to 5th of April, whatever you have earned in that whole period, you will be taxed on. So when you are, let's say, your business has picked up and you have finally decided to resign and just continue with your business, at that moment, you don't need to do anything specific. You just continue with your business. But when your year end happens, just make sure that you have picked up all of the information from your employer, like P60, P45, bring that over. And when you're submitting your tax return, you make sure that you have all of the paperwork in place to apply the amount that you've received as salary and put it on your self-assessment and then pay the taxes on that. So there's no specific things that you need to do, but you just need to make sure you have registered for self-employed by October of that current year, and that you're paying taxes in that specific year for the whole thing. And then from next year, you just continue as your normal business.
Awesome. So Deborah Rose is asking, can you outline marketing expenses? And then the follow-on question is that, for example, if I am hiring a photographer, etc., can you outline legitimate marketing expenses?
Look, a photographer is a legitimate market expense. You're right. But when we talk about expenses, just bear one sentence in mind that if you're spending the money just because your business is there, if your business wasn't there, you wouldn't be spending this money, then in one way or another, you can claim that money back. So, for example, if you're doing a business and you're only spending that money on the marketing just because your business is there, then you can claim that money back. And some of the example would, as you said, photographer, Facebook ads, Google ads. If you're, typing articles on your platform about your product, if you're paying someone to type it for you, um, photography of your products itself, anything basically that enhances the chances of your sale can be treated as marketing expenses.
So what's the best way to kind of like account for that? Is it or to bookkeep for that? Do you give receipts or keep invoices? Or so if you were hiring a photographer that was, let's say, like a freelancer or whatnot, yeah, what's the best way to keep record of that?
So there are quite a few things. So first thing, always use your business bank account to make those transactions, because then you have a track of the expenses you made. And then even if you, for whatever reason, miss an invoice or uh, re- um, displace an invoice, you have a track that you made this transaction. If you're using platforms like Fiverr, Upwork, where you found this photographer, then obviously they will always provide you with an invoice. But if it's a completely someone that you know and they're doing this photography for you, use a Word document, get them to generate some sort of invoice for you, so that you at least have proof that the money that you paid out was for a specific reason. As long as you have some sort of backing that the bank transaction that went out of your bank is for this specific reason, you're okay. But keep that safe. You need to keep that safe for at least 6 years. That's the rule.
Great. So paying tax you receive from abroad, importer of goods, 20% VAT. Where can we get more details on that?
This is a tough one, because I personally had to do weeks and weeks of research and understanding of this whole process, especially after the Brexit. Things have changed a lot. Um, but the best way to get information is the Gov website. But again, when you go to that website, there's so much information there, and the language they use is obviously, the jargons are not very understandable. So if you have a very specific scenario, then you can always get in touch with me. We provide, I think, free consultation if you come through Sam's reference. I'm more than happy to go through 30 minutes, 40 minutes with you and explain that to you. But if you just want to do an online research, then Gov website is the best, because they have a very accurate understanding of what things are.
Fantastic. Keep these questions rolling in, guys. We've only got about 15 or so minutes left. Deborah Rose is saying, where can we get information about being VAT registered? I'm guessing it might be a similar place.
Again, yes, all the information is available on GovWeb, but also do visit our website. We have a lot of blogs which we have published for how to be VAT registered. But for e-commerce, I'll say again that it's very complicated, especially with the new rules. So reading online might not be the best course of action. So get some professional advice, because VAT can be very complicated. If you end up doing it wrong, you could be penalized by fines and penalties, because HMRC clearly says it's your responsibility to make sure you do it right. So yeah, just be mindful of that, and speak to someone.
Great advice there. Leonard Kelly is saying, would a printer for the purposes of printing postage labels be included within expense opportunities?
Definitely. You only bought the printer because you have this business to print labels. If you didn't have this business, you probably wouldn't have bought this printer. So based on that understanding, you're able to claim that those expenses back.
Awesome. So is that kind of like the way we should be thinking? I wouldn't have this if it wasn't for business,
Yeah.
so it can be included. What about like if you use something. So say for example, the printer is used for domestic, but also for business as well. Or
Yeah,
if there's some, yeah.
sorry, that becomes a bit complicated. So you already have a printer that you use for both house, for your children's or for your own, other work, but you're using that a little bit for your business as well. So for that, the cost of the printer cannot be used for business, but the cost of your cartridges, you
Okay.
can apportion it a little bit towards your business depending on how much. But for any e-commerce business, I assume it would be a lot because you're printing a lot of labels, especially for Amazon. They want you to print a barcode on every single item. So, expenses of your cartridges and stuff can be put towards your business.
Okay, great. Fantastic. So Deborah Rose, suppose I have a fashion brand and I sell in Europe and the US. What do you recommend for how I record my sales?
For Europe, be very careful. I'm not trying to scare you, but things have changed from 1st of July. The OSS, IOSS, and the special arrangements rules have kicked in. So it's not as easy as before. Before Brexit, you can simply start selling in Europe and that's it. Now, anything that you sell in Europe from day one, you have to either be registered in one of the things I mentioned, or you need to have some sort of a special arrangement to sell there. You cannot just simply send your goods there. You can, but your end consumer will be putting up against import VAT and custom, which is not a great place. We have published a lot of articles saying that how that ruined businesses for many people. But my quick advice would be to first, whenever you're trying to discover a new country and selling there, always see what the ground rules are. So, for example, in Europe, if you're storing goods within the Europe and selling it from there, then you have to register in their country. But if you're just using your UK stock to sell in Europe, then there are quite a few different ways to do it, but they still require some sort of registrations. In terms of sales, if you're using your online platforms like Shopify, Amazon, eBay, or WooCommerce, whichever platform, they will record all of this for you. They will record your European, your US sales, and all of that will need to be declared in UK and pay taxes on that. So, but if you are selling manually for a fashion brand, I believe depending on the your business model, then you need to manually keep a track of through your invoice system. Use invoice system through, for example, like Zero, Wave. There are quite a few free softwares out there that can help you keep a track of your invoices and make sure all of that is recorded on your system.
Awesome. Kind of like on off the back of that as well. It's so for people who are not necessarily selling products, but or maybe offering services online and sending invoices abroad, especially to like the US. I know that the certain countries have their own kind of way of doing things and so on and so forth, and forms and stuff like that. Do you recommend if let's say for example you wanted to work with a US company and they wanted you to sign some specific form or something like that? What advice do you give in terms of that? Should we be signing these kinds of forms? Do we not need to, or how does that work?
Well, look, if you are working with a company, then that company itself should not be asking you to sign anything because they are not responsible for any sort of taxes collection or anything like that. Um, if you're selling into US, then you need to check what US says, US government says on how you can trade with them. So, for example, if you're on Amazon, then you need to read Amazon's terms and condition for in order to sell on Amazon, and there are tons of that. But if you're selling just to normal clients there, then it should be quite straightforward. They shouldn't be asking you to how to do the taxes. You should know yourself because there are quite a few taxes involved, like sales tax, and they're normal regular taxes. But if you're a limited company from UK selling into US, you just need to worry about UK taxes and just make sure that you're not breaching any of the threshold in the US. Apart from that, I don't think you should be signing anything off with any other customer or a brand.
Awesome. Some great advice there. Jackie Raymond, can you claim for training courses or personal development courses?
Um, mm, in an essence, I will say no. And the reason for that is if you're a director only company, right? In a company that you are the main owner and you're the employer, it's very difficult to justify any training courses if it's not directly related to your business. So, for example, if you're an e-commerce business and you're getting a training course on how to be, you know, better in management, then it's completely far off because you don't have any
Mm.
employees, you don't need that. But if you're taking a course on Amazon arbitrage, like those online courses, and you're spending money for how to enhance your e-commerce skills, then that's directly related to the business. That will be allowable. So just be very careful. It can be very tricky, but as long as it's directly related to the business, you're okay.
Okay, so with that being said, in terms of if someone was to take, if someone was doing, say, for example, like e-commerce, but they wanted to take like an SEO course, like some of the courses I put out, SEO or Google Ads or something like that,
Yeah.
would that be related enough?
Yeah. So again, Google Ad, you're probably taking that course to see how you can personally enhance your business marketing structure. So that will still be considered under the same umbrella. So those should be okay. But if you're taking a course in a completely different direction, then no. So as I said, it has to relate to your business, and you should be able to justify it that it is to enhance the business, nothing else. It's not for your personal development; it's for the development of the business.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And I think this is one of the last questions. We got about 10 minutes. I'm going to stay live for another 10 minutes or so, because I wanted us to kind of like end off. I know we started off talking about the Awesome platform, but I wanted us to kind of round off as well, speaking about what Awesome can offer, and so on and so forth. So yeah, if there are any last minute questions, then please do get them in. So Jackie Raymond is asking, is there maximum budget for training courses you can claim for?
Um, Look, HMRC does not put out, this is your maximum budget on this expenses. They have, but on very specific things. So, for example, like treating your employees for Christmas, how much mileage you can claim. But for very basic business stuff, but for things like marketing cost, training cost, or cost of your goods, there's no budget. What HMRC has said in one line, they have summarized this whole thing, that you should look at the principle behind it, and the principle should be that it should be justifiable. So when they have said things like that, it's very open now. So if you're gonna end up, like, for example, buying an MBA for yourself, and you pay £9,000 out of your business, that's not justifiable because that has nothing to do with the business. But if you're spending
Mm.
like a few £100 on a course from you, or a course that will help them enhance their business, then yes, you can. So to answer that question, there's no maximum budget. Is the principle behind it that works with it.
Fantastic. So you need to be able to justify your spending. And I think that's kind of like, from what I'm gathering from this live, I've learned so much as well. But what I'm gathering is more or less your accounts just need to be, they need to make sense. So if you need to explain them in any way, then you can say, okay, cool. Yeah, I took this amount of money out to do this for this purpose, and it's related because of X, Y, and Z, whatever that is. So I guess like just having a system in place that allows you to kind of, because obviously numbers are not words, right? So, but the numbers should tell a story about where you've been, who you've been doing business with, and why you spent certain money on certain things, kind of thing.
Agreed. Agreed.
Cool. So we've got Deborah Rose saying, "This is awesome. Thank you, Deborah Rose, for coming on. That's great. Many thanks. This should happen each month. Well, as long as there's availability for that, then why not? I'd love to talk more, and I'm learning more as well. Obviously, this is not my area of expertise, so it's great having someone on who can kind of like share with us some details. But yeah, I wanted to take the last few minutes. I think the connection is, we've lost the connection slightly, but that's okay, because we're drawing to a close anyway. I wanted to take the last few minutes to kind of speak about the software. Awesome. It's a huge thank you to Awesome as well, because they are actually sponsoring this video. This live will it's going to be recorded, and it's going to be on YouTube. So you guys can kind of like go back and watch this, I know I will personally come back and watch this video as well, because the information has been fantastic. It's been great. So a huge thank you to Osome for helping to put this together. My link to Osome will be, oh, I'm pointing the wrong way. It will be here. So at least go and check them out. Even if you're not necessarily thinking of, even if you're not thinking of registering now, then you might register in future. I think the great unique selling point that Osome have is the fact that you can actually speak to an accountant. So if you, all of the questions that you have today, you can get them answered in a similar way when you use the Osome platform. And I'm going to be putting out a video very soon, a sponsored video where I'm going to be walking through their software and showing you guys how it works, so on and so forth. Some of you may have registered by then, so you may already know how the platform works. But if you guys want to wait as well, that video should be coming out soon. We're going to be kind of speaking about exactly how it works. Deborah Rose is saying, Sam, bring him back next month. I'm going to do my best to. I'm going to have a word with Osome and see if we can get him back. Also, it depends on how well this video does. I know a lot of people who are subscribed to this channel watched my lives after the fact as well. So if you're watching after the fact, please do leave your comments in the comment section. Just because you couldn't watch live, don't feel like you can't leave your comments. Obviously, I'm not an accountant, so I won't be able to necessarily answer accounting questions in the comments if you leave those questions. But do let me know if you want to kind of have these kinds of conversations again, and I'll do my best to kind of like arrange this and get this back again.
Apologies,
so yeah,
my internet Wi-Fi dropped, and yeah.
No worries. I was kind of just giving an outro, really, speaking about the Osome platform again. I know we kind of touched on it at the beginning, and I'm going to be doing a video soon. Jacqueline is saying, thanks for putting this session on, and to your guest as well. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. So just any last points that you want to give, or words of advice for our e-commerce sellers, people selling online, or anything about the Osome platform, what separates you guys from competitors, or anything you want to add just as like a final note?
Sure. I think what I continuously say to my clients, and whenever I do these videos and webinars, is when we're looking at e-commerce, especially the e-commerce side of things, we mainly focus on finding the right supplier, finding the right platform or the system that works for you. But the books and the finances is the very last thing on our minds. But it should be the first thing, because that will help you mold and understand your business. At the end of the day, all of our aim is to get money out of it to take home, right? That's the aim of doing these side hustles and these e-commerce businesses, to take enough money home to have a better living, a good living in terms of finances. And to be able to do that properly, you need to know your books. You need to know things like, is your supplier costing you more than it should? Is this the right time to look for a different supplier? But if you do that at the very last minute, when things have gone wrong for a few months, you've lost a few months worth of money. But if you're doing your books on regular basis, you can see a change literally on month-to-month basis. And things like us, for example, platforms like at Osome, where we do daily bookkeeping, you can literally see the trends on weekly basis. So it really helps you understand your business, and you don't have to spend that time on your own. So look for an accountant who does that, rather than just finding an accountant to get your books done, file the accounts, and get done by it. The accounting world is changing, and it's changing for a lot of better things. I personally do not input any invoices on the systems anymore. I used to 2 years ago, but everything is done by the system now, and my job is to now provide more valuable information. And that's where Osome comes in. Now, why find an e-commerce specific accountant? Things have been changing a lot recently. Brexit, the new EU rule that have created a whole mess, and only an e-commerce expert accountant who has put enough time into it knows how to navigate through it. I spent almost 2 months understanding all of this. So if you still want to tap onto your EU market, because it's a big market, it's one of the biggest market, I think it's come second after US. So you need to tap into that market. You need to know someone who knows how to do it. Otherwise, you will end up losing a lot of money. So those are the few things that I think that we can help you with, especially with the automation of it. So get in touch, get the free consultation, and see how we can help you with your business.
Thank you so much, Tamar, for being with us. If your business is growing and you are struggling with keeping up with the numbers, or maybe you've got an accountant already, but you just want a process that's simpler. Like there's nothing better than knowing that your finances are in order. You can sleep well at night when your returns are ready and due. If someone comes knocking on the door, it's like, okay, yeah, cool, fine. I've got it all sorted. I've got it all in one place. And when I did kind of have a play around with the Osome software as well, they do genuinely make it really easy for you guys. So yeah, like I said, I'm going to be doing a video on that platform very soon. And yeah, thank you so much for being with us. It's been a pleasure, and hopefully we can have one of these kind of chats again, because it's been requested in the chat section. And if you're watching after the fact as well, and you want this to happen again, or you have particular questions, then do let me know in the comment section. But yeah, it's been great. Thank you guys who have asked questions. You've made it really engaging, which has been fantastic. But until next time, guys, have a great day, and we will see you soon.
Thank you.